Hey guys, how's it going? This is Mike from M&R Automotive. Today we have a brand new 2025 Lexus GX550. We've installed two 11.5-inch light bars inside the front grille. You have to take off the top trim piece. It's held by push pins. So the way to get these out, you actually have to press into them. Take a screwdriver, press the top in, and then they should come out. Press, remove. So now that we have all the clips removed, we can just lift up on the trim piece and put it aside. On top, we're going to remove the three 10mm bolts. And we're going to put these aside. So after removing these three, this pretty much unclips, and let's start working on the bottom of the grille. Alright, so now we're underneath the vehicle. We're going to take out all the bolts that are holding the aluminum skid plate. So there's 4 here. I think I see 2 more. There's a clip in the middle. We're just going to pop the top, so that way we can remove it. Now we can take down the skid plate. There is 1 bolt on each side. Those are 2 left from the bottom that are holding the supports that are holding the front end to the bottom brace. That's 1. This one has a washer. It's like a rubber washer. I'm gonna leave it on it. And then the second one's right here. Same thing, there's a rubber washer. I'm going to keep them together. Now we're working on the sides. We're going to take off these 2 trim pieces, 1 on each end, and I can see 1, 2, 3 bolts and a push pin. Alright, I'm going to remove 1, 2, and 3, and that should just detach the sides. So now that we've removed these bolts, it looks like everything's freed up here. So now we're going to do the same thing on the passenger side. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing on the passenger side. 3 bolts, 1 pin. This removes the whole bottom, and there's a couple more that we're going to take off. Looks like everything's freed here. Let's start working on the wheel wells. Now we're in the driver's side wheel well. We're going to be removing 3 push pins and an Allen screw. There's 3 push pin and a Allen. Alright, so now that we removed the 3 clips and an Allen screw, we can peel back the inner liner. By getting the liner free, you can reach in here and we can unclip the fender flares. There's like a little, they call it Christmas tree tabs, but when you squeeze them from the back, it should release. So you squeeze, there's these clips behind. When you squeeze it, they come out, and there's 1, 2. We'll free up the fender flare. There's 1 push pin here, and when you remove it, this should free up and separate the bumper from the fender. So with this clip, we're just going to go ahead and raise the top, and we're going to remove it, and that's going to separate the fender and the bumper. Now we can pry this and unclip it. So just to show you, these are the clips that we were separating from the back side. In order to free it, you just kind of push on it and you'll be able to loosen it up and then peel the fender flare out. So now that the driver's side is unclipped, we're going to do the same thing on the passenger side. So now we're on the passenger side, same thing. We have a couple of clips to remove here. That's 1. So now we have 1 Allen bolt. Now we can peel back the liner, and we're going to have access to these clips to release the fender flares. So once again, I'm just squeezing the tab in order to get it detached, and there's 1 push pin here that we have to release in order to separate the bumper from the fender. This is the push pin. I've taken it out. So now we can unclip the side. Now that you got the sides loosened, let's go ahead and disconnect all the electronics and the water line for the washer fluid. So we're going to unplug this harness, and the way you do it, you put a screwdriver on the top until it separates, and then all you have to do is this gray lever, just bring it down. When you bring it down, it's going to separate the 2 pieces, and you can take it off. Alright, so after you disconnect this harness, let's go on the driver's side. I think there's a harness there as well as windshield wiper fluid. Windshield fluid line. Oh, it doesn't want to come out. Bam! I made a kink, and then I'm going to zip tie it. Bam! No mess. So just to summarize really fast, the windshield washer fluid line, it's directly to the reservoir. So whenever you remove it from the other connection, you want to kink it and put a zip tie around it so that way you don't lose all your windshield washer fluid on the floor. Another alternative would be to put a bucket on the bottom, drain it all, and then just re-add it after you finish the install. Great, so let's go ahead and continue unplugging the electronics. So there's a harness here, the gray harness. If you push on the tab here, you should be able to take this off. I think we got all the electronics and the water lines disconnected, so now we're going to remove the front end. We can lift up on the top tabs to free the top and start unclipping it. We're going to install two 11.5-inch light bars, and they're going to go between the active shutters and the front of the grille. So we have to remove these bolts that are holding the active shutter system. We're going to remove it, install it, and then reassemble everything together. So these are 10mm bolts. I'm going to take them all out. There's 6 of them total. Awesome. All right, so now that all the bolts are removed, there's one harness here on the passenger side. And in order to separate it, you squeeze on the tab and you pull them apart. So now that the bolts are off and the harness is disconnected, we can just remove the active shutters and put them to the side. So let's go over what you get with the M&R kit. We're going to assemble the M&R brackets to the lights at our bench before we install it onto the grille because it makes it a lot easier. Notice there's a D and a P, there's a driver and a passenger side. They are different and they cannot be swapped over. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to install the sides of the M&R bracket, and it comes with a bolt and washer. I'm going to tighten the bolts. We're going to do the same thing for the passenger side bracket. So one thing I do want to point out, take a look where the wiring is on the light. Because they're going to be side by side and we're going to fuse the wiring together, you do want the wiring to come out on the inside locations. And in reference to the bracket, you can take a look where this mounting lip is onto the grille. They're all towards the center. Alright, now let's go to the grille and install these. So we're installing the lights on the top portion of the grille, and we're going to use the bottom screws because the top ones are tapered at an angle and they're not going to work. So you're going to use these 2 screws to hold the bracket. We're going to go ahead and remove them. We're going to slide the light assembly, and we're going to reuse supplied hardware. So now let's do the same thing on the passenger side. This is what I was talking about, having the wires on the inside, because if you have the light bars flipped and the wires are here, they won't reach each other. So here we're capable of fusing them, and we'll probably zip tie them to this cable. All right, let me show you how it looks like. I wanted to make sure the LEDs are not being lost or blocked by the crosses in the grille design, so we actually spaced them out perfectly to not lose any light. So we're not ready to put this on the vehicle yet. We got to fuse the light bars together and extend the wire. So now that we have the lights installed, let's go over the wiring. So now we're going to go ahead and combine the light colors. We're going to combine the 2 red wires together. We're going to fuse the 2 blacks together. And we're going to fuse the 2 whites together. So let's actually go over what these colors are. If you purchased a dual function light bar such as the one we're installing, you're going to get 3 different wires. You're going to get the black, the red, and the white. The black is the ground. The red is the main power source, which is, in this case, is going to be white light. And then we also have amber DRL, daytime running lights, in these lights. So that's going to be the power to the white cable. So I'm going to throw some crimp connectors on here, and we're going to extend it because we're going to tap it into the auxiliary switches. So I'm going to do the black cable first. I'm going to crimp it. Do the red cable, which is the main function. And I'm going to do the white cable, which is the daytime running light, which is an amber backglow. So now that all the wires are connected, we're going to extend it to auxiliary switches with a provided wiring. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to match the same colors. I'm going to go white to white, red to red, black to black. And we're going to do the same thing for the black wire, which is the ground. And just as a quick reminder, this is only for lights that have dual function that you have 3. If you have a single function light, you only get 2 wires, a red and a black. And let's wire this harness underneath it. And I'm going to use some zip ties so that way it doesn't get in the way with the active shutter system. So I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to zip tie it to a harness here. So they're going to be nice and tight and they're not going to interfere. I'm going to pull on these to make sure to eliminate any slack. Alright, awesome. Now we're going to actually route our LIBOR wire to the driver's side using some more zip ties. And now we can put the active shutter system back on. You're going to slide these onto the aluminum pucks, and we're going to use the hardware that were removed in the previous step in order to secure it. And I do want to point out there is nowhere where the wire can interfere, and that the louvers can actually open and close. So I'm going to close them, and I'm going to open them, and the light bars are sitting closer to the grill, which means they're not interfering with them at all. Alright, so the last step would be to connect the harness back together. Now we can install the grill back on the truck. So we're going to work in reverse order how we removed it in the first place to put it back together. And this is where the wires come out just enough so that way you can tap into the auxiliary switches. So on the GX550, there's 2 sets of auxiliary switches. Switches 1 and 2 are going to be on the driver's side. There's a socket back here, I'll show you where it is. And there's also switch 3 and 4, which is on the passenger side. So let's go ahead and get access to that socket. We'll separate it, and I'm going to show you how to pin it. So on the driver's side, there is a socket back here, and that controls auxiliary 1 and 2. So we're looking for a plug, that black one over there with the orange rubber grommets. If you remove the windshield washer fluid reservoir, you can actually get your hand in there and maneuver it. So what I'm going to do, when you squeeze this, you can actually pull up on it, get it out the way, and now we can have this hand go inside and work and help you with separating the plug. So in order to separate, it's a male and female end, so you're gonna have to squeeze it and get the cap off. So with 2 hands, try to squeeze it. And what I'm gonna remove, this is the female part. The male part actually stays on the vehicle, it's part of the harness. So I wanna show you on this cap, it doesn't have any pins or wires, so Lexus wants you to actually pin it yourself. I couldn't find any information on the internet what kind of pins in terms of part numbers. I got a set on Amazon of different pin sizes, and I'm going to simplify it for you. Identified which pins are required for AUX 1 and 2. So AUX 1 is going to be this one, and AUX 2 is the one below. And I purchased this on Amazon. It's a kit of various sizes of pins. We're going to list the link in the description, so that way you guys can get your own. So I'm going to take off the 2 rubber grommets for AUX 1 and 2. So this is AUX 1. And since we're going to be using 2 of them, I'm going to pin both. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a little bit of wire on it. We're going to crimp it, and then I'm going to try to get it from the back. Hopefully it'll lock itself in. I'm just going to get some wire. I got a piece of 14 gauge wire, and the pin that we're going to put on here is going to be 621-4.8. So there's 2 tabs here that you're supposed to squeeze in order to crimp this end onto the wire, and if you don't do it correctly, it's not going to fit the opening of the plug. Now that I have it here, let's go ahead and feed it through the back of the plug. I heard a little clicking sound, which is good. So we're going to get another wire. It's going to be a little bit different color, so that way we can separate auxiliary 1 and 2 from this harness. And the part number for this one is 627-F2.2. So let's try to pin this. So now I'm going to go ahead and insert it from the back. Hopefully it locks in place. All right, it looks pretty good. We're going to install this plug onto the vehicle's harness, and I'm going to toggle switch 1 and 2 to make sure that you actually get 12 volts on these pigtails. So I have the adapter that we've been working on with the pigtails, and I dragged out the plug towards the location where we had the windshield reservoir tube. There's a little bit more space here, and I'm going to try to connect it. Okay, I clicked in. Now that the harness is in, I have my voltmeter ready. I'm going to hit AUX 1 with ignition on, and I'm going to check to make sure I'm getting 12 volts here. If I am, that means that the plug and then the pins are working properly. So now I'm going to turn on aux 1, make sure that there is a green light. So with the red, I'm going to touch the contact, and with the black, I'm going to touch a bolt, and here we have 12.2 volts, which shows that we are having power on our pigtail. So let me do the same thing with aux 2. I'm going to go ahead and switch off aux 1 and turn on aux 2. Also, whenever you guys are toggling like that, make sure that these wires don't touch the chassis, because it might spark and blow a fuse. But I was making sure that they're not. And right now we're going to check aux 2, which is the black wire. We're going to connect it to red, and the black is going to be the ground. So you can see on the voltmeter 12.2 volts, which means that we have aux 1 and aux 2 wired correctly. Now that the auxiliary switches are set up, let me show you how to connect our light bar. So the light bar that we're connecting is a dual function light bar, meaning it has powerful white light as well as amber DRL. Therefore, you actually have 3 wires. You have the ground, which is the black wire. You have the red wire, which is the power to the main function of the light, which is white. And then you have a white wire, that's the amber DRL backglow, daytime running light. So we're technically going to need 2 different switches, so that way we can switch off between the 2 functions of the light bar. So let me show you how to connect it to auxiliary 1 and 2. So on the light bar, we do have to put an eyelid where the ground connection is. So I'm going to put a crimp connector with an eyelid on it. And then we're going to have to put 2 crimp connectors for the 2 power sources. One for the red light. So we did the red, and I'm going to put one on the white. So for the ground, we can actually use this bolt. So I'm going to take it out and thread the eyelid. I thread it through the eyelid and reinstall it. Okay, and now we're going to connect the 2 different powers. Auxiliary 1, that's going to be our red wire, and auxiliary 2, that's going to be our black wire, which we're going to connect to the white wire of the light bar, because that's the DRL function. Alright, let's take a look at the results. Wow, this kit looks amazing. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and got the confidence that you need to install this kit by yourself. You guys are going to absolutely love it.